Bowl from Dallas, Texas. Alabama, an NCAA juggernaut on defense. Texas Tech, an NCAA juggernaut on offense. It is a beautiful day in Dallas, Texas. Temperatures expected to climb into the mid-70s, and we welcome you to the 70th AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic. The 18th ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders taking on number 13, the Alabama Crimson Tide. And a belated Happy New Year to you and yours. Alongside the coach, Terry Donahue, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome to college football here on Fox. All the talk of this game, Coach, the Texas Tech offense against the Alabama defense. Who will win today? Let's start on offense with Texas Tech.
Well, Tom, this is a high-powered, high-flying Texas Tech offense led by senior quarterback Cody Hodges. This offense accumulates 500 yards of offense every game, 40 points a game. They've got 4 wide receivers that have over 60 receptions. They're going to move the ball on Alabama and stress that Alabama defense.
Well, you talk about Alabama's defense, Coach. Number 2 overall, number 1 scoring defense in the country. They only give up 11 points a game.
Alabama on defense is speed, speed, speed. They have 11 guys who can run to the ball, led by All-American linebacker Demeco Ryans. This is a complete package. This guy's an athlete. He's smart. He and his teammates are going to play a lot of defenses, try and confuse Tech. Texas Tech has never played a defense as talented as this Alabama defense is.
Well, something's got to give here today. You couldn't ask for a more picture-perfect afternoon. And from the Big 12 Conference, the team trying to run it up on the scoreboard today, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. What an offense under Mike Leach. Their signature game came against Kansas State when they had 669 passing yards. Their Cotton Bowl hopes were riding on the final play of the final game when Torian Henderson dashed in and beat Oklahoma from 2 yards out, sending the Red Raiders to their 3rd Cotton Bowl. And now from the Southeastern Conference, we welcome the Alabama Crimson Tide. Perhaps the most electrifying play of the year, turned in by now injured Tyrone Prothro in the win over Southern Miss. Their most impressive win, though, against Florida, a rout, the middle game of a 9-game winning streak. Defense led the Tide in snuffing out Tennessee, a game won in the final moments by Jamie Christensen. And the Tide marching on to the Cotton Bowl. It's their 7th trip. Alabama, the dean of college football bowl appearances. They played in more than any other Division I school. They have won more bowl games than any other in Division I college football. And let's send it to our public address announcer at the Cotton Bowl, Bill Melton.
Ladies and gentlemen, we direct your attention to midfield at this time.
As the president of AT&T West will supply the coin. Alabama, there's your logo. There's your logo. I'm going to ask General Robert Clark of the U.S. Army to toss the coin. General Clark. Texas Tech, you have won the toss. The ball. They would like to receive. Which goal would you like to defend? Turn your backs this way. Texas Tech has won the toss and will receive at this end. Good luck, gentlemen.
So Texas Tech, leading the nation in passing yards, will get the football. The kickoff is next. A pleasure to be joined today by a pair on the sidelines, and we go downstairs first to Jeannie Zelasco. Hi, Jeannie.
Thank you, sir. Belated Happy New Year. Very soon, Coach Mike Leach will reach into that back pocket and uncrumple his playlist. What will unfold on the field is sure to raise a few eyebrows. The very best offense in the college football free world consists of about 20 plays with some variations. Forget conventional wisdom about running down the clock. Their drives last over about 2 minutes. A lot of people say the offense looks more like a crowd fleeing a fire. Coach told me this morning, fire, that's good. We need the sense of urgency. Mike Leach, the surfing ex-lawyer turned college football coach, is ready to ride this tide. Chris Ricks, who, by the way, out of college eligibility, so he's joining us on the Bama sideline today, all the way from Florida State. Take it, Chris. Welcome.
Thanks, Jeannie. Coach, you've talked so much about the senior class, how much they mean to you, and everything they've been through here at their careers at Alabama. Tell me, how important is this game to you and these seniors?
Well, you know, we want to end up on a great note for these guys. They've been through a lot. They've been extremely loyal, maybe more so than any other class in the history of Alabama for what they've come through. They've showed us great leadership all year. Our guys want to play hard for them, and we're going to need them to come through for us one more time.
Thank you, Coach. Tom, back up to you.
Chris, thank you very much. A pleasure to have you with us on this January the 2nd from Dallas, Texas. Mike Leach, in his 6th year, has led the Red Raiders to 48 wins, which ties the most over a 6-year run in Texas Tech school history. And they will get the football against the Crimson Tide defense. We are underway at the AT&T Cotton Bowl. This is Danny Amendola from the 1 and hammered down at the 12-yard line. Jimmy Johns along with Matt Miller, the first two to meet him. So here comes Texas Tech, led by 5th-year senior quarterback. His first year as a starter, sat and watched for 4 years. And look at the numbers, his first year as a starting signal caller.
And Tom, one of the keys today will be whether or not Texas Tech can really protect Cody Hodges. That Alabama defense will give him a lot of different looks and really try to put some heat on him and disrupt him.
Terry Donahue mentioned a moment ago, 6 times this Texas Tech offense has started a game with a touchdown drive. Quick throw to Amendola, and he's out to the 17-yard line. Pretty good pickup on first down. We look at the rest of this Red Raider offense. 4 players with 60 or more receptions. Up front, they do a solid job, led by Manny Ramirez, the junior out of Houston, a second-team All-Big 12 performer. Weapons all across the board. Henderson in the backfield, Hicks, Filani, and Johnson, the other 3 along with Henderson, with more than 60 catches.
Just take your pick, throw it to the open guy. Mike Leach's theory.
2nd down and 3, and Hodges will tuck it underneath and slides his way to a first down out to the 25. That's one thing Mike Leach said he liked very much about Cody Hodges, his ability to run the football when he sees an open lane.
He's got a great sense of timing in the pocket. He always seems to run at the right time. A lot of quarterbacks run at different times. This guy seems to feel the pressure, have a clock in his head, pulls the ball down, makes a positive gain for a first down.
Hodges following Cliff Kingsbury, B.J. Simmons, and Sonny Cumbie as the quarterback at Texas Tech. It's become quarterback U. Throw to the far side, and the catch is made by Joel Filani, the junior out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Tom, one of the things that Alabama wants to do early on defense is give Cody Hodges a whole lot of looks. They want to try to disguise things, look like they're blitzing, defend, look like they're defending, blitz. Go ahead and make it hard on him to figure out where to go with the ball before the ball is snapped. One of the keys of the Red Raider offense is to determine where you're going to go with that ball before it's ever snapped.
Three receivers to the top of your screen, and Hodges looking around, and he's going to hang on to it. Crosses the 40, the 45, and close to midfield. And then a late hit comes in on Alabama, and look at the swarm of Red Raiders on the sideline. coming after the Alabama defense.
One of the things that happens to you in a ball game like this, Tom, your players get so pumped up before the kickoff. You've worked for 40 days getting ready for this kind of a game. You've had a great season. You want to finish it off with a big win, and you got to make sure you've got control of your emotions. And Alabama's defense is aggressive by nature.
Gain of 16 from midfield on the opening drive. The Red Raiders call all their plays at the line of scrimmage and then give Hodges the freedom to check off. He's looking for the jump ball down the sideline and slightly overthrows Fulani. Good coverage there by the junior Ramsey Robinson, the youngest member of this senior-laden Alabama secondary.
Alabama's got a lot of pressure on this defense today because, as you mentioned, Tom, Texas Tech has so many weapons with Fulani and Johnson and Hicks. And, you know, they can spread the ball around so they find zones and they just create space in your defense.
Hodges, bluster roll out, dodges a pair of defenders, and again, he'll keep the football and carries to the 45, a gain of 5. It'll bring up the first third down try for Texas Tech. The number 2 ranked Alabama defense. Second in overall defense, number 1 in scoring defense. Mark Anderson leads them in sacks with 7. Great linebacking core led by the first team All-American Terry talked about, Demeco Ryans. And in the secondary, keep your eye on Harper, 41, and Pepra, 26.
That secondary is an awfully ball-hawking type of secondary. They've got 21 interceptions on the year.
Here we go, man. Here we go.
And they really, really go after the ball.
Saw Roman Harper, the senior out of Platteville, Alabama, having to leave the game. He's a first-team All-SEC performer. Quick slant and a throw too high for Amendola. So will Texas Tech punt? It's no guarantee. They go on 4th down more than any team in college football. They've had games under Mike Leach where on their first possession from their own 20, they've gone 4th down and 6.
And they're successful on 4th down. They convert about 81% of the time. So you're looking at a team that has gone for it 16 times this year, converted 13.
And now Mike has made the decision he's going to punt it. Alex Reyes, a junior, back to punt, and waiting, the senior from Birmingham, the speedy Brandon Brooks. Brooks going to let it fall, and then it checks up and down at the 16. So a good start for the Alabama defense, forcing the Red Raiders to punt on their first possession. Mike Shula talked about this senior class, the backbone of the Crimson Tide program during the last 5 years when NCAA sanctions and 3 coaching changes took its toll on the program, and the man who stayed with it, 5th-year senior quarterback Brody Croyle. It's a great story that here today, after a devastating knee injury last year, he's playing in his first bowl game.
He missed all but 3 games last year, Tom, and as you mentioned, this guy really clearly is the leader of this Alabama offense, but he's going to need some help today, particularly from tailback Ken Darby. They're going to have to be able to rebuild their offensive line and run the ball and control the clock and keep that Texas Tech offense off the field.
A number of changes for Alabama in their starting lineup today. We'll talk about those in a moment, particularly up front. There is Kenneth Darby, who's put together back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons and a gain of 9 on the first play. For the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Up front, the change, most notably, Antoine Caldwell has started all year long at left guard. Today he goes to center. Mark Sanders has started left guard. Darby, the outstanding tailback, led by LaRon McCoy. Travis McCall gets his first start at tight end. They are without DJ Hall, their leading receiver, who may not even play in the game. Mike Shula would not say. Quick throw the other way. And this is Keith Brown, the sophomore. And he will go the distance. Touchdown, Crimson Tide. Brown is 4 touchdown receiving on the year and went for 76 yards. We're talking about Alabama on offense making changes. That sight is a change. And a point after is good. So all the talk about the Texas Tech offense, 2 plays and 6 for Alabama. Two plays, 84 yards, 76-yard touchdown reception after the catch by Keith Brown. Crimson Tide had such a miserable time on offense over their final 5 games of the year. They were hit with a devastating injury to Tyrone Prothro, their best offensive player. And then their senior center, J.B. Klausner. They've had to patchwork ever since. Cammy Amendola will take a knee, and the Red Raiders get it out of the 20. Let's go back to the touchdown.
You know, Tom, that last play was a little bit of a Texas Tech play that Alabama ran. They ran a little counter pass. They faked the pass, the handoff. They throw it outside. You see a great block on the outside right there by Capps, the tackle, and the guard Sanders. Both of those guys make key blocks that allow Keith Brown to take it to the house.
Great athlete. Hodges throws high, looking for Robert Johnson. Texas Tech, located in Lubbock, Texas. Student enrollment of 29,000, began football in 1925, and it's a good history of football. You see almost 100 wins, over 500. 29th bowl appearance, and they have routed opponents in their last 3 bowl games, including highly rated Cal last year in the Holiday Bowl. That was no contest.
Well, Mike Leach has kind of a bowl system that he puts in for bowl practices and believes in it, and the players believe it, and they prepare well.
3rd down and 10. And the open receiver on the far side is Fulani, and he has a first down out to the 35-yard line. Let's send it downstairs to Jeannie Zelasco.
Well, gentlemen, what we have to remember about Texas Tech's offense, they may look a bit stymied, but the good counselor, Coach Leach, loves a challenge. The first half always about how the defense reacts to what they see. We saw Leach rally the entire team and say, look, we are this close. And a big thumbs up from the quarterback, from Hodges, as he took the field for this series, saying, we are okay.
Now, Mike Leach, a very interesting character. We'll get into him more as the day rolls on. I think that, you know, a lot of people, they look at him, they hear him talk. He's a very funny guy, and they think he's a little on the goofy side. He's a sharp guy with one heck of a running back in Torian Henderson, all the way to the 40-yard line. A gain of 15 by Henderson.
Texas Tech likes real wide splits in their offensive line. That creates air, it creates running lanes, and sure enough, they spread out the Alabama defense here. Execute a little shovel pass for Henderson, and he takes it right up inside for a real positive gain. The more they can split the Alabama defense out, the harder it is on the defense. The more the defense is going to try to penetrate those splits.
First down after the big gain, and it's batted into the air and incomplete. Looked like Dominic Lee got a hand on it with a pair of catches now for Henderson. He becomes only the 4th player, and bear in mind he is the only running back among the group to have 300 or more receptions in college football history.
It's unbelievable, really. I mean, you're looking at a guy maybe that when he goes to the NFL, he's Marshall Faulk, you know, a great runner, great receiver. He's got that kind of versatility. I remember Marshall Faulk when he was at San Diego State, and this guy is just as impressive at this stage.
Again, the jump ball. Did he come down and bounce? And yes, the catch is made by Robert Johnson down to the 17.
There's a reason Texas Tech can execute so well offensively, and it's because of repetition, repetition. And when you watch Texas Tech practice and Mike Leach practice, they throw that ball 100 times a day, and they put air under it. They asked their receivers to go up and pluck it out of the air. A great job by Johnson getting 1 foot down for the completion.
For 4 consecutive years, I think they're going to review this play, but it clearly looked like his first foot came down in bounds after making the catch.
The preceding play is under review.
Alabama really caught a break that the touchdown earlier in the game by Keith Brown wasn't reviewed.
This was going to be so close. I mean, is his foot on that white chalk or not? You know, I don't know. It's got to be indisputable evidence, and I'm not sure you're going to be able to say that this is not a catch. He did a great job getting that foot down.
After review, the call on the field stands. Both feet were in bounds, and the possession was received.
You know, Tom, that was too good of a throw, too good of a catch, and too close of a call to overrule it.
Too good all around. Talk about Cody Hodges waiting his turn at Texas Tech behind Kingsbury, Simmons, and Cumbie. All 3 of his predecessors led the nation in passing yards, and now he has become the 4th quarterback in a row at Texas Tech to lead the nation in passing yards.
And he talked about learning from each one of them. Leadership, confidence, how to handle the press. You know, when you sit for a while, there's an advantage to that. You want to be playing.
And here's Henderson, shoved out of bounds at the 5-yard line by Demeco Ryans. So they're starting to crank it up a little bit on this drive.
I think Texas Tech right now is getting more used to the speed of that Alabama defense. Early on, this game was really moving fast for both teams. And Alabama was trying to penetrate those wide splits, and the game was real fast for Texas Tech. But now they've settled in to the speed of the game.
Tech has had games this season where they'll score 14 points in the first half. You may remember that happened against A&M. And they wound up with 70 in the game.
Well, if you're Joe Kynes, the defensive coordinator at Alabama, you hope that doesn't happen to you today.
Hammered all the way back at the 18 by Demeco Ryans.
One of the advantages of wide splits, you spread out the defense and create air. One of the disadvantages is you allow penetration. Demeco Ryans right there sees that opening, he takes that gap, and all of a sudden you've got a big sack.
Boy, how much did we enjoy our time with that man, the defensive coordinator, Joe Kynes, yesterday.
He can coach some ball now. That's an old football coach that loves coaching defense.
Look at a number of plays for Texas Tech. But the bottom line is right now they're losing. Into the corner, and no, out of bounds. Coming up with a would-be interception was Anthony Madison. So that'll bring up 4th down, and the field goal unit will come out for Tech. So another excellent stop by the Bama defense.
If you're Joe Kynes and you're playing defense for Alabama, you won that series, because when Texas Tech gets into the scoring zone, they're about 90% successful. And sure enough, at least you're giving up 3 points and not 7. Psychologically, that's huge for the Alabama defense.
Sophomore Alex Trolika for a 39-yard try, a season-long 47. And this one is pushed wide right. And a flag has come down onto the field, so hang on a minute. Tide celebrating on their sideline.
I think we're going to have roughing the kicker.
Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down will be repeated.
All right, does this change your thinking? If you're Mike Leach, do you think about going for it now or just go for 3?
Well, I think you kick this ball. I really do. But, you know, this snap is good. The kick looks good. But right there, the kicker faked me out a little bit. They kind of rolled into him, and he fell down when I saw him.
They'll do that. That's their job.
I know it, but I'll tell you what. I'm glad they didn't call that. That would have been terrible.
Well, they really got to fake it, especially if they miss. So now you move him up to the 24, so a 34-yard try for Lika. And this time he bangs it through. So the mistake made by Alabama starting too soon gives the Red Raiders a second chance, and they cash in.
Tom, you know, it's funny about football when you're playing in certain types of games. You know, a lot of times you're playing an offensive team, you give up a field goal, you're upset about it. You play Texas Tech, you give up a field goal, you come over with your defense if you're Alabama and you celebrate it. You really do, because 3 points, that isn't a loss. That's at least a tie, maybe a win for your defense.
We talked about Alabama, a very rich tradition, and coming back to win 9 games this year in Mike Shula's 3rd year. Many believe really it's his first full year when you consider all he's had to go through the first 2 seasons. And wrapped up back at the 15-yard line is Glenn Coffey. Was part of the great heritage of Bama football. Some of the names, and you go back to the '68 Cotton Bowl, the final college game for All-America quarterback Ken Stabler, soon to be 2nd-round draft pick of the Raiders, showing off his precision passing and 2 rushing touchdowns for Stabler, but it wasn't enough. Texas A&M upsetting the Tide 20-16. Kenny Stabler here broadcasting for Alabama Radio today is a semifinalist in this year's NFL Hall of Fame balloting, the Snake. Well, they've got some players on the Tech defense. Yeah, they really made remarkable progress this year on that side of the ball, led by the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, number 3, Dwayne Slay.
Oh, he's a great player. And, you know, this defense 2 years ago was the worst defense in the NCAA. And this year they were the 26th defense. In 2 years, they've made tremendous progress.
Short jump, quick throw. That's a tight end, McCall. But excellent coverage by Huffman. We talked about Slay, the senior out of Brunswick, Georgia, transfer from Reedley College in California. The Big 12's Defensive Player of the Year, forced a conference record 8 fumbles this season.
And I think what's interesting is he didn't start on this football team a year ago. He was a backup special teams player, but boy, now that he's got his opportunity to start this year, he has turned it up a notch.
Talked about the Tech offense and the Alabama defense coming into this one, and a low-scoring first quarter from the AT&T Cotton Bowl in Dallas. On this January the 2nd and the 70th annual AT&T Cotton Bowl. 7-3 as we begin the second quarter with Alabama in front on a 3rd and 5. Croyle throws to the near side. It's Keith Brown who had the game's only touchdown. And it's good enough for a first down to the 44. You talked about moving the chains.
Well, one of the things, Texas Tech plays very soft in the secondary. And as a result, Brody Croyle is going to want to throw out into the flats a lot today because they're soft flats. And so he's going to feed that ball out there a variety of ways today, either like that on drop back pass or slip it back out there. But those flats are available to him, and he knows it, and he's going to take advantage of it.
Third and 4 for the Tide. Need to get to the 19-yard line. 3-step drop. Croyle is wrapped up. Shy of the first down by Fred Threat, senior out of Midland, Texas. And now Croyle looking to the sideline. It appears as though Mike Shula's wrestling with this decision right now.
Yeah, I think the kicking game for Alabama has been very questionable this year, all aspects of the kicking game. And so I think he'll end up kicking this ball, but you do have to think about it because
38-yard field goal attempt for Jamie Christensen. He missed his first try today. And this one blocked. Slay has it. Dodges a tackle and is tripped up down to the 45-yard line, and with under a minute to go, the Red Raiders get the football, and now a flag litters the field. A Red Raider player, John Saldi, had his helmet ripped off, and that's where the flag came in. It looked like Chris Hudler blocked it before Slay picked it up.
Dead ball. Personal foul. Late hit, number 33 of the kicking team. First down, Texas Tech.
That's a fullback, LaRon McClain.
Well, it appears that the snap is perfect. The kick looks a little bit low, and Hudler just gets his big arm up there, but it hits him low. The kick, I don't think, got up high enough to start with. And sure enough, you can create huge momentum with your defense when you can block a kick, get a turnover, and now Texas Tech, with this offensive team in this field position, in perfect position now, I think, to get this game turned around in spite of the fact Alabama has dominated this first half.
Well, you tack on the 15-yard penalty, and now this drive begins at the 31 rather than the 46. And Hodges out of the shotgun, trailing 7-3. Screen, and no room to run. Maybe getting back to the line of scrimmage, Torian Henderson. The Bama defense has done not good. They have done a great job on Henderson.
Yeah, I think when you go in at halftime and you're Alabama, you're going to talk to your defense about, hey, boys, just keep playing the way we're playing. We're swarming that.
Clock ticking, under 30 seconds to play, and Hodges looking for the end zone. Got tangled up down there. Hicks and Madison, no flag.
Good no call.
Jared Hicks, their second leading receiver this season. 62 receptions without a catch today.
Anthony Madison again on tight coverage. Hicks goes way up to try and get that ball out of the air. They practice that a lot, but that ball's simply overthrown, and I think the tight coverage by Madison is disrupting some of the receiving techniques of Texas Tech.
See the numbers on Hodges. 10 of 22, third down. Shovel pass. First catch made by Hicks, and he is laid out by Harper at the 22-yard line. Very close to a first down. What a lick delivered by Roman Harper.
And there, you know, you watch Cody Hodges. He moves around that pocket. He's under unbelievable duress. Somehow he finds a way to get this ball exchanged. Watch him move in the pocket. Look at those red shirts after him. He just shovel passes it forward. And watch Harper here. Watch this hit here. Welcome to college football. Now that hurts the next day. Not only today, that hurts the next day.
Fourth down and a yard, 12 seconds to go. Tech has 2 timeouts remaining. Coyle on the keeper appears to have enough. Clock ticking now under 10. The officials stop it at 8. May have to measure, or they'll stop it for the first down. But if it is a first down, they need to get up to the line of scrimmage, because they'll start it as soon as they put it in play.
No question about it. Once they mark the ball and move the chains, the clock will start. But it's stopped temporarily in college football as opposed to pro football.
Well, we're going to have a measurement. I think Mike Leach was signaling timeout just in case they did what you just talked about. Put the ball down, said it's first down, move the chains, and started the clock.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he wanted to see if he didn't have to use a timeout. He thought maybe he could get 2 more plays in. But he's making sure here. He's got 8 seconds on that clock. He wants to take a shot at that end zone, maybe 2 shots. And if not, at least get his field goal team onto the field. That's right.
And it is enough. Whoa, not by much. And now they'll call timeout.
Timeout, Texas Tech. Their second timeout.
One timeout remaining for Tech. Let's go downstairs to Jeannie Zelasco.
Well, gentlemen, you've been talking about it all day. Cody Hodges coming to the sideline repeatedly, exhausted with questions, sitting down this last time saying, I just have no time. He's had coaches coming over to him saying, who is out there covering to you? You get the general impression that even on the Tech sideline, they can't figure out what Kynes is doing to them on defense.
Jeannie, thank you. It's very interesting, Coach Donahue, when you think about it. I mean, it's not like they're playing a bunch of cream puff defenses in the Big 12. I mean, obviously, there are some that are a lot better than others. But from where you sit right now, why has Alabama's defense given Texas Tech so much trouble today?
Two reasons: speed, and they have attacked those splits that Texas Tech has. They have penetrated those splits. They've got people running through those splits. And I think a third reason is they've presented so many different looks for the quarterback. Cody Hodges in this offense, he likes to get up to the line, know that his first and second choices are there, or if they're not there, he wants to be on to 3 and 4 before the ball snapped. Alabama hasn't let him do that. So consequently, he's had to work harder mentally in this game, I think, than maybe any other game other than Oklahoma State, who really controlled them in the first half as well.
All right, play calling here. You got 8 seconds left and you got 1 timeout.
Well, that's what I said earlier. You want to be thinking either take a couple shots in the end zone or be able to get your field goal team on. So you don't want to come out of here with 0 points. And it depends on what happens on this particular play, how much time it takes, how much yardage you gain as to what you do on the next down.
Hicks, Filani, and Amendola at the top of your screen. Johnson at the bottom. And they're looking to the end zone for Johnson. And barely overthrown. Clock stops with 3 seconds left. And you figure here comes the field goal unit.
Either that, or if you don't believe in your field goal kicker, you go for it. You know, it depends on where you're at. This ball is just really overthrown. Filani is open, you know, and the ball just has too much air on it and goes out of bounds.
So now the field goal attempt, we'll call it 37 yards by Trelika. Hit a 39-yarder for the only Tech point so far. And this one is blocked. And that's the way the first half will come to an end. The Alabama Crimson Tide defense allows 3 points in the first half to a team that averages better than 42 points per game.
Whenever you're trying to get a field goal off, penetration is the key, and or on the outside, that ball gets blocked up inside. Mark Anderson was the guy who got his arm up and got that ball knocked down. The kicking game is so crucial in big football games. This is a big bowl game. The kicking game certainly has played some havoc in the first half today.
Well, granted, this isn't the national championship game here today, but for these two programs and where they see themselves going in the future, this is a huge game.
Oh, very important. You carry this into your off-season, your spring practice, not only for you, but for your fans and everyone that follows your team. Bowl games are critically important. I learned in 1976 when I lost my first one, we were 9-2-1, and it was like we were 2-9-1. You know, I mean, everybody was upset.
Let's send it downstairs to Chris Ricks.
Thanks, guys. Coach, solid start for the Crimson Tide, leading 7-3. What are your thoughts and feelings right now at the end of the first half?
Well, you know, we'd like to have more points. You know, we had the one quick drive, quick score early, and move the ball in 2 other drives, and with 2 field goal attempts and come away empty. You know, defensively, I think we're playing well. We let them out of the hole on some third down, some long yardage situations. We just got to be able to, we got to tackle better and then get a little more pressure on the quarterback.
What are you planning on telling your team going into the locker room to make sure they stay focused, come out and finish strong in the second half?
Well, number one, it's a longer halftime with the bowl game. We've got a lot of game left. You know, this game's going to last a lot longer because of all the throwing, especially by them. So we just got to continue to play one play at a time. Don't worry about the last play. Don't worry about the next play. Play that play.
Thanks, Coach. Okay. Tom, Terry, back up to you guys.
Just like a coach, he's going to beat up on the defense, and they just gave up 3. The AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic continues with our halftime show after these messages from your local Fox station. Tom Brenneman back alongside the coach, Terry Donahue. And Coach, we came in talking for the better part of a month
about the Tech offense against the Alabama defense, and I know, how could you not be so impressed with the effort by Alabama?
Well, they've done a great job disguising their defenses, really making Cody Hodges work at trying to get passes down the field. They have flushed him, they've rushed him, they've done everything they can. If Alabama plays the kind of defense they did in the first half, in the second half, it's going to be hard for Texas Tech to get their normal pace and their normal rhythm that they've had.
And it should be noted that Texas Tech's defense, which came in the top 30 in all of college football, number 8 against the pass, they've done very well, allowing just the one long touchdown. Standing by with Mike Leach along the sidelines, our Jeannie Zelasco.
Coach Leach, Alabama defense maybe even better than advertised. What kind of adjustments do you make to come out strong and get that offense work in the second half?
Well, they're advertised plenty good. The thing is, we just got beat on field possession. We moved the ball fine. We just get pinned back, and we just got to play together a little better this half.
Thank you, Coach. The leading rusher, of course, the quarterback. Last time that happened, Cody Hodges, leading rusher, Oklahoma State. And, guys, we know Coach Kynes told us they thoroughly digested that tape.
Jeannie, great to have you with us here today, and we're closing in on the beginning of the second half. Alabama very late getting out of the tunnel. And some of the halftime statistics. We're talking about a team in Texas Tech that averages over 510 yards of total offense per game. You see 220, so like Coach Leach said, they're moving the ball, but they're not able to make that one more play or the two more plays to get in the end zone.
Yeah, and I don't think they really have had the rhythm that they normally have. I think that when you just watch them, I really believe that Hodges' rhythm has been upset by the Alabama defense, and I think they're used to more success than they're currently having. And I believe if they can get their offensive line to protect Hodges a little bit better than they did in the first half, that they'll play better in this half. And sure enough, you know, if you're Alabama, you've got to go in there at halftime and say, hey, guys, we've held this team that was averaging over 42 points, over 500 yards. We've got him with 3 points. We just got to keep bringing the heat on him, and if we do, we can win this football game.
Well, we talked about Texas Tech offensively a number of times. They've had games like this, not necessarily held to 7, but we go back to the A&M game, and there have been a number of examples through the Mike Leach years where they've been slowed down in the first half, and then they just take off in the second half. Very good at making second half adjustments.
No question. Mike Leach is a really strong game day coach. He's going to adjust, but would you have believed coming in here that Brody Croyle would have more passing yards than
Cody Hodges? No.
You know, you just wouldn't have thought it. You just wouldn't have thought it would happen right now. And sure enough, you know, that's what's happened. But that's football, and that's why you play it, and it's fun to play. And I think in the second half, these coaches will come out and they'll continue with their game plans. And I believe that Mike Leach will try to make the adjustments. It's a matter of whether or not they can block that front 7 of Alabama's.
Alabama held 5 opponents to a touchdown or less. Their defense went nearly a month from October the 15th until November the 12th without allowing a touchdown. And only 3 opponents this year had over 300 yards of total offense against Mike Shula's defense.
There's no question about it. This is going to be a very interesting second half. I think Alabama, as far as the first half is concerned, they think things went very well, except maybe in the kicking game, where they missed a field goal, had a field goal block, those kinds of things. But other than that, they've got to be happy with not only their defensive play, but really their offensive play, because they've made some first downs. They got a big play for a touchdown, and so they've been able to do some things offensively that have kept the ball away from Tech, and that's what you want to do.
So both these teams have dominated the opposition in the third quarter over the course of the year. In fact, Alabama on defense has only allowed 3 second-half touchdowns all year.
Boy, I tell you, if you're Mike Leach and Texas Tech, you don't want to know that.
No.
You know, you're better off just forgetting that. You've got 30 minutes of football. You know, you're playing for a Cotton Bowl championship. I think you just turn it loose and let it go. You got here playing a certain way. You play that way again.
So here comes Brody Croyle and the Crimson Tide offense. Croyle hit on 8 of 12 for 165 yards. And the wide receiver screen to Keith Brown that went for 76 yards on their second play of the game. They'll hand it off to Kenneth Darby. And he is chopped down by Vincent Meeks at the 25. Meeks out of Dallas, Texas, went to Rockwall High School. Has 12 interceptions in his career and a hard hitter. But I think he took the brunt of that leak, and apparently something went awry in his helmet.
Kenneth Darby's a downhill runner, and he can light you up. Vincent Meeks comes up in support very, very quickly on that particular play. But as you said, Tom, he got his helmet jarred and had to leave the game, get it readjusted.
Second play here in the second half, and Darby pushes ahead for maybe a yard. It'll bring up 3rd down and 2. It was his second play offensively in this game for Alabama, which produced a game's only touchdown to Keith Brown.
Well, anytime you throw a little quick screen like this and get offensive linemen out in front to make blocks, you give your runner some room, and Keith Brown certainly was able to take this all the way. I think the quarterback has really worked the field very, very well for Alabama. You've got to be impressed with Coyle. He hasn't made a lot of big mistakes. He's managed the game very, very efficiently. I think that's a key ingredient for a winning quarterback.
3rd down, and we'll call it 2. It's going to be very, very close on the give to Tim Castile. Met right away by Ken Scott and company, but he appears to have enough.
I think he got it on the final push on that play. Initially, I think you're right, Tom. He was stopped short of the line, but sure enough, there was a push at the end there that I think will move the chain.
Darby tripped up behind the line of scrimmage, and the first man there, Fletcher Session, the junior from Tyler. Boy, did he come on strong as the season went on. Began the year in the outside linebacking spot, came in the middle, and had 24 tackles his final 2 games.
Boy, that's a tough transition, Tom. When you go from a weak side linebacker, and then all of a sudden you have to get into the middle of that defense, things move so much quicker, and the blocking schemes are different. And he's done a tremendous job for his football team adjusting to a new position.
Miller caught it very close to the first down marker, and wrapped up by Naziruddin. It appears to be short by maybe a yard. Well, now on second look, he got a pretty favorable spot. They may have to measure. 3rd and a yard.
This is where that rebuilt offensive line comes into play, Tom. You know, with Caldwell at center, Sanders at guard, Stabler at guard. These are the guys that have got to get this yard for Alabama's offensive team.
And Brody Coyle got it to the 45, and again they'll move the chains. Very solid opening drive of this second half of the Tide.
Very solid and really fitting into Alabama's game plan. They were so concerned coming into this game about falling way behind. And the key for them was to stay close in the first half so they didn't have to come from 14 or 17 points down, and they've been able to do that.
Play fake to Darby. And Coyle finds Brown, who hangs on to it this time. And he has a gain of 9 to the 36-yard line.
Nice job by Brody Coyle, again, getting rid of the ball quickly. He does not want to take sacks. He wants to get that ball out of his hands as fast as he can. He's been sacked an awful lot this year. He was certainly under unbelievable duress against Auburn. But today, this new line has protected him quite well, and a quarterback's confidence will grow as the game rolls along because he's got his rhythm and he's secure back there.
Our first line down, brought to you by AT&T, and a first down carry for the freshman Jimmy Johns. Mr. Football in the state of Mississippi 2 years ago as a high school quarterback.
Well, you talk about a tough transition. You know, you go from quarterback to wideout a lot of times, but quarterback to running back isn't quite as usual. And they are really excited about this guy's athleticism. You spoke about it earlier, and there's no question that they're going to have to consider maybe putting this guy at quarterback because he's such a factor.
Well, I mean, you talk about an athlete. John's in Mississippi, the state champion in football, in the 110-meter hurdles, and throwing the distance. Timeout. 9:38 to play in the third. We saw Terry Donahue do this time to time at UCLA during his 20 years. Really give it to his troops.
Hey, listen, you got to call those guys together now and rally them up, particularly when you're in a tough game like this. You know, Texas Tech isn't used to this. They're really not. I mean, this is not what they really anticipated coming into this game, so you got to get guys psychologically to come out of kind of the funk they get into.
Well, you were doing that to our TV crew last night, getting ready for this game.
Yeah.
First and 10, Alabama. Darby, nowhere to go. Wrapped up by Ken Scott along with Dawson. No gain.
Really good first down play by the Tech defense. Anytime they can win that battle, keep Alabama under 4 yards, they're going to disrupt Alabama's game plan and force Alabama to get out of what they really want to do, which is run, run, play action. Run, run, play action. When you have them 2nd and 10, it makes it a little bit different. You have to go to a different style offense.
If you haven't guessed, our Cotton Bowl is presented by AT&T today. And this is a look at our AT&T Skyview camera. Draw to Darby. And he is tripped up by Randall Cherry. After a gain of 3, let's send it downstairs to Jeannie Zelasco.
Boy, Leach's powwow there might have been longer than the meeting he had with the coaches at halftime. He was in there under 3 minutes. Tech PR was making their way down in the elevator. The defensive coaches were already on their way back up. The thought process was they had confidence in their defense, ironically. They were happy with how they were playing. Short meetings for the coaches, long meetings on the sidelines.
I think, you know, if you're Tech, you've only given up 7 points. You got to be pretty happy with your defense. I think that's right. And but they've got to make sure that they can come out of this thing without giving up a touchdown. Field goal's one thing, a touchdown something else.
3-step drop, and Croyle in trouble. Had it batted down, but a flag on the field right where Croyle threw the pass. This would be a very long field goal try if this is where the Tide drive stalls. But we'll wait on this call from Terry Layden, our referee today.
Offside. Defense. That penalty is declined. Holding. Number 28 defense. 10-yard penalty. By rule, automatic first down.
It's Marcus Bunton, who does not get a lot of playing time, a redshirt freshman out of Taylor High School in Taylor, Texas. And what a huge play that turns out to be.
You talk about a critical call. But, you know, again, though, if you're Tech, you haven't given up a lot of yards. You're thinking now psychologically, hey, we're going to give them 3, but we have to make sure we keep them out of the end zone, keep them from getting 7 points.
But, boy, you give them a legitimate chance for 3 now. I mean, that would have been a 44, 45-yard field goal try. Now it's first down.
Plus, they already had one blocked and one wide, you know, so.
Not much running room for Tim Castile, maybe a yard. Fletcher Session again there to meet him. We'll call it a pickup of 2.
Making the tackle, number 42, Fletcher Session. A gain of 2 yards with 2nd down, 8.
Tom, I would think that Brody Croyle will come out on some kind of a little play action pass. Remember, those flats are somewhat soft in this Tech defense, although the field's been shrunk down here a little bit. And anytime you get down in here, you like post patterns. You like to throw the ball inside.
McLean in motion, and Croyle looking for his tight end, and it's batted down and nearly intercepted. Some confusion there between Travis McCall, the tight end, exchanging words with Keith Brown.
Sometimes you have athletes moving at such a high rate of speed, you know, and there's a lot of tight spaces, and sometimes you just have a mental error. It's hard to know exactly what happens here, but certainly Brody Croyle has two receivers in kind of the same general vicinity. Brody Croyle getting a little knocked down there by the Texas Tech defense. Adjusts his chin straps and lives to fight another day.
Croyle still looking. Near the sideline, throws it away in the back of the end zone. So another solid job by the Tech defense. Both of these defenses playing so well here today.
Yeah. I think, again, you're right, Tom. Texas Tech is really, after that severe penalty, and you know, it's easy for a team in that kind of a situation to mentally just get down and get discouraged about it. But this Tech defense really rose to the occasion, and if they can play well here, and even if this field goal is made, they got to consider it a victory for their defense.
31-yard attempt. Christensen has missed one and had another block. And this time, it's good. So Christensen, wait a minute, flag comes in very late. Better than a 6-minute drive. Or better than an 8-minute drive, I beg your pardon, for the Crimson Tide to begin this second half. Offsides against Tech. Now, this would give you 5 more yards, bring up 4th down and about 2. Put you inside the 10. Do you think about going for it?
Well, you think about it. But the old adage, don't take points off the scoreboard.
Defense. The penalty is declined. The field goal is good.
Okay. Well, he's had 2 of those decisions today. 10-3 Bama. Well, we at Fox Sports are proud to be televising our 8th AT&T Cotton Bowl, and we recently extended our relationship for 4 more years. In addition, we are honored that next year Fox Sports will be the home of the Fiesta Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, and the National Championship game. Our relationship with those BCS games will also extend through January of 2010, and boy, are we excited about that. This time next year we'll be in Tempe. Danny Amendola brings it out to the 23.
You know.
Great stuff, Chris. And of course, many remember Chris Ricks throwing a rather unorthodox style. As sacked all the way back at the 38-yard line as Hodges. Demeco Ryans and Mark Anderson were back there to wrap him up. How about the grip you had, Chris Ricks? You used to throw like Terry Bradshaw did with your finger at the end of the ball.
I was going to put it in there, but I didn't want to go over time, so I just focused on him.
Well, here you get a look at the difference between the two. The more conventional style for Brody Croyle.
No question about it, but that last time with Demeco Ryans coming in on you and Mark Anderson, you don't have to grip the ball. You just got to eat it. You couldn't get it off.
You better grip it so you don't fumble it. We're back after a word from your local Fox station. A quarter dominated by Bama. In a game thus far, dominated by Bama. A 10-3 lead. With nearly 350 members revved up for the start of the 4th quarter. Alabama leading Texas Tech 10-3. 2nd down and 20 for the Red Raiders. And here they come. Blitz picked up. Hodges having to keep it again. Nobody open down the field. Let's go downstairs and visit with Jeannie Zelasco.
Well, guys, no doubt Mike Leach looking for his happy place right now, but he will tell you his offense is based on increasing the odds of something good happening. He will not tolerate negativity. Another come to Leach, as those sideline meetings are called, guys, telling the players, look, I have had enough of you guys getting down on yourselves for the mistakes. Knock it off.
Well, Cody Hodges appears to be hurt. Not appears to be. He is hurt.
Particularly, you scramble as many times as he has today and expose yourself to that kind of velocity from that Alabama defense, you're going to be limping.
And they're coming after him. Looking for Hicks.
Bumping down the sideline there, getting wrapped up with Anthony Madison. And with all the talk about Harper and Pepra, the safeties, Madison has had a sensational game here today.
Along with Ramsey Robinson, the other corner. I agree with you, Tom. Those two players are the guys that have really done a great job with those wideouts. This is a play before where you see Cody Hodges again on a scramble, and this, I can just tell you by watching that defense run around, there's too many bodies that are whacking at you. If you're Cody Hodges, you've been running all day long.
Well, no more Brandon Brooks dropping back to field punts. It's going to be Madison. Brooks has already bobbled 2 punts today. And Madison bounces off a tackler. And he brings it out to the 22-yard line. Anthony Madison putting Alabama's offense on the field. And this play will go a long way, perhaps towards determining that for Brody Croyle. Fifth-year senior cuts it loose, wide open, Brown, and he overthrows him. No one between Brown and the goal line, and Croyle let it fly about 2-3 yards too far.
Boy, he's gonna remember this throw for a long time, I think, Tom. He had Keith Brown wide open down the right sideline. He just needed to put a little more air underneath that ball. He threw it a little bit flat, and as a result, he overshot his receiver.
All right, now Tech will get it back. Shots, punts out of his own end zone. Low line drive punt for Amendola. He takes it across midfield. Breaks a tackle to the 45. Amendola down to the 38-yard line. And that's where Tech will put it in play. Who will come out as quarterback? Hodges was clearly politicking his coach on the sideline, and here he comes. The last time the Red Raiders played a game without a touchdown, October the 18th, 1997, against Nebraska. That's when the Cornhuskers were the nation's elite. Reverse to Johnson. Filani, I beg your pardon, inside the 20, down to the 15, and shoved out of bounds at the 12 on the reverse to Joel Filani.
One of the things you do to a fast-flowing defense like Alabama is one that's chased you all day long. You counter them with counter plays, reverses. The reverse here to Filani is wide open. He has a clear running lane, and all of a sudden, Texas Tech, 7 points down, is sitting on the 12-yard line.
Boy, you can't talk enough. Fifth-year senior Hodges coming out for perhaps his final drive. 7 senior starters on defense for Alabama. And it's down to the final 2 minutes. Hicks bounces off one tackler to the end zone. Touchdown, Red Raiders. Hodges limps off the field after the touchdown throw. Now the all-important point after. Trelika has never missed one. He still hasn't.
Well. 10-10. Under 3 to go. 38 yards, 16 seconds. Cotton Bowl trophy, the Field Scoville trophy, presented to the school that comes away with this AT&T Cotton Bowl win. And right now, with 2:55 to go, we're tied. Brandon Brooks from the 5. Out to the 25-yard line. Flags come in late.
You've got a bad field position if you're Alabama, and you've controlled this game almost from start to finish. You just got to make sure you're very, very protective in this particular part of the field.
Boyle, short drop, lays it off for Darby. Boy, what an open field tackle there by Brinkley. He got help, but he stayed with Darby after a pretty good move and allowed him to go nowhere thereafter.
Boy, it's hard in the open field against a good back that's got the ball, a guy like Darby. This guy can make you miss. He has good avoid, and sure enough, Brinkley somehow wrapped him up just long enough for a bunch of other Raiders to get over there and help bring him down.
Clock running under 2:20, 10-10 game. 2nd down and 8 for the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Alabama, 1 timeout remaining. Draw to Darby. Ran into his own man and nowhere to go. Slay, the first man to meet him from his free safety position.
Is it amazing how momentum swings in a contest like this? All of a sudden, the Tech players are jumping around. The Texas Tech defense is swarming like the Alabama defense has been swarming the whole game. There's all kinds of white shirts there covering that ball carrier up for no gain.
I'm a little surprised that Tech hasn't taken a timeout here. I mean, they just burned 20-plus seconds off the clock. Could have stopped it before this 3rd down play.
And I think they're waiting for their own offense.
What a catch made by Matt Miller after Slay tried to slay him out of the 33.
Cody Broyle has made some great throws in his time at Alabama. Probably none more important or bigger than this one. You talk about being able to control your own destiny with this completion. That's what that did for Alabama.
And Slay told us, who has forced 8 fumbles this year, he told us if you hit a guy in the face with your helmet, he's going to juggle the ball and cough it up. Well, Miller didn't cough it up. 1st down throw is incomplete. You're talking about Slay, for those of you not with us earlier, forced a Big 12 record 8 fumbles with bone-jarring hits this year. And he put a hat on Miller.
But Miller hung on to that ball and got that 1st down, and Alabama lives to fight again. That was a huge throw by Croy. Huge.
Boyle steps up, finds Brooks. He thought about cutting it up the field and wisely steps out of bounds. 57 seconds remain. Alabama 1 timeout left. Their field goal kicker Christensen has hit on 1 out of 3 today. Had 1 block and his season long 43 yards.
You know, who would have thought, Tom, Alabama in 2-minute offense trying to win the game throwing. You would have thought Texas Tech would be in 2-minute offense trying to win the game throwing. Football has a funny way of turning around on you.
Brown escapes 1 tackle, is shoved out of bounds at the 31-yard line. Broke the tackle of Chris Parker and then picked up another 15 yards, and the Tide now knocking on the door.
If you have to say there's the most valuable player offensively for Alabama, it's got to be Keith Brown. He has come up big time and time again for Alabama today.
Over 140 yards receiving by Brown, whose best game this year was 91 receiving yards against South Carolina. But we mentioned that they, very early in the year, lost their best offensive player, Tyrone Prothro, with a gruesome broken leg in a couple of different places after getting off to a Heisman Trophy-like season. Right now, it would be roughly a 48-yard field goal try if they don't pick up any more yardage. Career long, 5 yards less than that.
And Tom, each team has a timeout, so how you use them is going to be critically important in the last 49 seconds of this game.
Short drop, quick throw, and a dangerous throw right there made by Croyle. Parker's a step away from going the other way, but it's incomplete.
Play took 4 seconds off the clock. You know, that's how fast that ball got out there on the sideline. And they tried to go to that flat where they've had some success today throwing the ball. And sure enough, that ball, as you stated, almost got picked off. The Texas Tech corners are starting to squat down now and not giving them that soft corner any longer.
45 seconds left out of the I formation. They give it to Darby. And he is slammed to the deck by Vincent Meeks. A gain of a yard. Clark continuing, the clock continuing to run under 33, 32, 31. And what will Alabama do here? Call a timeout. Looks like they're going to try to get to the line of scrimmage and run another play. Then call the timeout. Croyle's trying to hurry him up. Clock down to 12, 11, 10. They hand it off to Darby. Leapfrogs one defender and is bottled up to the 28. 5 seconds remain and a field goal try for Christensen, who said his life changed literally overnight. It was one thing to beat Ole Miss with a field goal. It was another thing the next week to beat Tennessee with a field goal. And he's going to get a chance to win the Cotton Bowl for this group of seniors in just a moment. Wow.
You're making me nervous, man.
It's great stuff. I mean, Hodges
stuff.
coming back and getting on the field and leading them to a touchdown, a fifth-year senior. Brady Croyle, the fifth-year senior. We've documented all that group, like Pepra and Demeco Ryans and Madison, all they've been through in their 5 years at Alabama.
And so much rides on a bowl game. People, I think, really aren't quite sure of the importance of some bowl games, but the Cotton Bowl is the Cotton Bowl. And man, you can take that trophy home and put it in your Hall of Fame, and it's so critical for everybody in your organization. And Alabama driving the ball down here, down the field at the end of the game, calls their final timeout with 5 seconds left.
Christensen today is 1 of 3, as we mentioned. His first field goal try, wide right. His second try, blocked. And his third, he banged it through the uprights.
And on this kick, Tom, he either wins for Alabama or we go to overtime. That's it.
They're going to spot it. About the 45.5-yard line. The holder is Matt Miller. The snapper is Drew Lane. Christensen for yet another game-winning field goal. Can he deliver again? Ball was offline. Did it get through? It got above the crossbar. It looked like it had no chance. But Christensen has won the Cotton Bowl for Alabama. That's about as ugly as it gets. But there's nothing ugly about it for the Crimson Tide faithful. I thought it had no chance, Coach.
You know, it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be good. What can you say? You know, Alabama's kicking game has been a problem all year long for them, but they win the Cotton Bowl with a kick. How about that? Is that ironic or what?
And they go down the field, ironic as you talked about. They go from their own 15-yard line down to the 25 for a field goal try to win it.
Who would have thought? If somebody said to me they were going to win it with a kick like that, a kick like that, and win it in a 2-minute offensive drill with their offensive team, I would have said highly unlikely. But sure enough, that's why it's college football. That's why you love it.
That is a career-long 46-yard field goal for Christensen. And thus this group of fifth-year seniors, guys like Pepra and Harper and Demeco Ryans and Brody Croyle and Anthony Madison, who lost his twin sister when she was 11. 3 sets of twins in that 12-children family. And here they've endured so much over the last 5 years. Probation, 3 head coaches, and they win their final game, their 10th win of this season. And a great year for Cody Hodges and company as well, finishing 9-3. (13-10) Bama. We'll be back to wrap it up.
Coach, let's first talk about the defense really putting the Bam into Bama. I think we heard so much about it, but just to see them on the field, can you speak about them?
Oh, for sure. You know, first of all, I'd like to thank our fans out here that came out and supported us. We got the best fans in the country. Our players know it. This award goes to this football team, our seniors. You know, Coach Moore, Dr. Witt, the whole support system has been awesome since I've been here. And the way our defense played today was the way we played all year. And even though we gave up the 1 touchdown at the end, you know, you can't say enough. You know, we had heard through the media all about the high-powered offense, and
you looked at me like you were blaming me.
And they're really, really good. But I think one thing a lot of the media may have forgotten was the guys on our defensive football team and our senior leadership.
Let's talk about your seniors, because I know they're so near and dear to you, and really, as you look around, these are faces you're not going to see in a few months. Comments about the seniors?
Yeah, we're going to miss these guys, and you know they've been through a lot. They've when we first got here, I was the 3rd head coach they saw in 1 year as sophomores. They stuck with it through thick and thin, stuck with it through our first year, had some injuries last year. They deserve this. They deserve the success. 10 wins, what a great year.
And just briefly, can you speak to Cody Hodges in defeat and really just the heart to come out there and probably some ligament damage in that knee?
What a great competitor. And our guys, I saw him afterwards, and we talked about him going into the game. What a true warrior. He's very productive, and you know we got a lot of respect for him, and he's got a real good future. And our hat goes off to Texas Tech and their fans and their whole program.
That's what college football is all about. Bama back. Enjoy the victory. Thank you, guys.
Jeannie, thank you very much. Only the second time in the history, 70 of these in Dallas, that the game has been decided on the final play. You go back to that unbelievable 1979 game of Joe Montana and the Fighting Irish beating Houston by 1. For Terry Donahue, Jeannie Zelasco, Chris Ricks, and our entire crew, Tom Brenneman saying so long from Dallas. Alabama on a game-winning field goal by Jamie Christensen, 13-10 winners over Tech. This has been a presentation of Fox Sports, your home to the 07 Cotton Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl, and the National Championship game. We'll see you next January here on Fox.